Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a little embarrassed with the introduction that I just had. It's very kind of you to say such nice words, but trust me, it's not even half of that. So I'm really honored to be here today with all of you guys, and I look forward to spending the next few hours exchanging ideas, sharing your views, and of course, I have a 20-minute presentation. I hope I don't bore you too much. It's not that you're going to learn something new. I've just picked up a very generic topic, which is basically to re-emphasize the importance of what we all are going through. So that's probably a quick one from my side. Can we have the slides? So yeah, so I was asked to speak today. I hope this is audible. Okay, so I was asked to speak today on any topic, and of course, when I looked at the panels that we have, I was a bit worried, because everyone seems to be an expert in their field. So I chose the most simple and easy topic, and that's called change. Of course, I contemplated between change and customer experience, and I thought these are probably the two things that is impacting our overall professional world that we live in today, and I'm sure all of you go through that as well. But I thought I'll pick up change because customer experience is an outcome, and change is what we go through and what we do to get the outcomes that we need in our professional world. So I'm going to talk about change, and I'm happy to get your inputs. I'm happy to answer your questions, if any. I don't promise you that I'll answer all of them correctly. You all have Google on your phones. You probably will have better answer to your questions if you Google it, but you can always ask me as well. I'll be happy to answer. So I'm going to talk about change today because that's probably the one thing that is impacting each and every one of us. So, well, this is what Charles Darwin said. It's not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can manage change best. And that is so true. Change is the only constant that we are going through today, and it doesn't matter whether it's the FM global net community that we have here today. It doesn't matter what you do in your personal world, in your professional world. The one thing that stands out is change and our ability to manage change. That's probably the key for all of us. So I know if I look at all of you as a group or as a community with a focus on real estate or procurement or project management, of course, there's this whole piece around green energy, recycling, biophilic designs, and I'm sure you all are doing that, and that's a part of change. But change is much larger, of course, and I just want to delve onto some of the statistics around change. There's some really interesting stats. So if you look at the first one, and we talk about the pace of change, 80% of leaders anticipate an even faster rate of change. And if you feel that change is really fast today, then we are in for a surprise. 42% CEOs recognize the need for cultural change to support a digital initiative. And I know we've got some esteemed colleagues today who are going to talk about AI, new ways of things, robotics, etc. And that's all change. And it's only as good as how we will be able to adopt. You can have the best technology, and it can give you nothing at the end of the day if you don't adopt it well or you don't execute it well. And hence, the cultural change is the key for any change. 51% business leaders talk about a fatigue. That is a common frustration. And you have so much change happening today in every organization. And there is, immaterially, you have the same people who have to manage that change. So it doesn't matter how many change initiatives you have, the number of people, the headcount, the FTE, the leaders that you have is the same set of leaders. Interesting one, enterprises, and that 60% enterprises see IT as more difficult to manage. While IT is supposed to make our life easy, technology is supposed to really go forward at an amazing pace, but 60% people or 60% of the enterprise see IT as harder to manage. So while we are bringing in change, there's cloud, there's AI, there is God knows what all, it is about how you manage that and how you adopt to it. 41% change leaders say organizational structures and systems are constrained to success. So we all operate in a certain setup in every organization. Every organization is different. And the beauty is that change really doesn't think about the organizational structure. And that's probably one of the inhibitors when it comes to implementing change. And this, probably the last point, is quite compelling. 73% of employees feel that leaders are not providing them with tools and skills to manage change. So if I was to ask you a question, and there's no right and wrong answer, so you can feel free to answer it, out of all change initiatives that happen, it's a global question, what do you think is the failure percentage of change? Anyone? You can take a guess. 10%, 20, 50, 80, 40? Anyone else? 60? 30? Okay. So 60 to 70%. By any leading analysis done by your big fives or various organizations, they say 60 to 70% of change initiatives fail due to challenge in managing change effectively. Now imagine that's more than half the change initiatives which are failing across organizations. And no one is immune to it. There is no organization which can say, look, we are amazing. We get it right 100% of the times. None of them. So that's the impact of change. That's the challenge of change that we all are dealing with. Now the question is, why is there such a high percentage of failure for change? I'm sure all of you have heard of the iceberg concept. If you would have watched the Titanic movie, you knew why it sank, right? It hit an iceberg, and they couldn't understand how large it was. The concept of iceberg is that you only see 10% of the iceberg on top. 90% is submerged. And that's the problem with change today. You only see the top 10% that we see visually. So when we talk about change, we see how people are responding, how people are reacting, and hence shared values, strategy, vision, etc. Those are the bits that you see when we talk about change. However, there's a 90% which we can't see. And that's the biggest reason for failure of change. And that's about beliefs. That's about prejudices. That's about biases. That's about feelings. You know, it's what you feel, your fears. If you ask me, fear. So today I'm here, right? I may sound fine to you, but inside I have butterflies in my stomach. Gosh, am I going to speak well? Am I going to be confident? Am I going to be nervous? But you don't see it. That's the iceberg. That's the part that you don't see. So when you talk about change, that's where your challenge is. You plan for what you see. Organizations plan for what they see. What they underestimate is the resistance to change, the fear of change, the fear of moving away from status quo. We all like our lives. We like the pattern it has. We don't like surprises. And hence, as a human nature, by default, we don't like change. So someone has to push us, right? And then there are these norms basis which you will challenge a change. Because guess what? It may put your position in jeopardy. It may downsize your role. You know, it may sideline you. Or someone you don't like may grow a lot bigger than what you thought he or she would. So there are a lot of challenges within the iceberg principle, which is the biggest reason for failure of change. And as I said, it's a generic topic, which means it implies to everybody. There is no industry, vertical, domain, which does not tackle this challenge today. So that's the biggest reason why we see a failure of change. So that's the first part. There is another part which is probably the reason for change failing, and that's the pace of change. And the pace of change is so fast in today's world that we are not able to grapple with it. So I have a question for you. So feel free to answer. This is how long it took these brands or these services to reach 50 million users. So many years back, telephone was invented. How long do you think it took for them to reach 50 million users? 20 years. Any other guesses? 10 years. It can only be higher than 20. 75 years. That's the adoption rate of telephones over a period of time, because they came in 60, 70 years back. Pace of change wasn't so fast. Radio. 38 years to reach 50 million users. Television, any guesses? Of course, less than 30 years. That's a good guess. 13. Internet, we can't live without it today. 4 years, pretty close. Thank you. All of you must be on Facebook? Anyone not on Facebook besides me? Is there anyone who's not on Facebook? So, okay, I have company there. Okay, thank you. 2 years. Insta, for the young ones. Okay, 19 months, not bad. YouTube, 10. The next couple of them are very interesting. If not you, your kids would know about it. Twitter, 9 months. Angry Bird, how many of you played this game? Right? If not you, your kids would have. How long do you think this took? 35 days, so just about a month, as you rightly said. The next one, Pokemon. Have you played Pokemon? No, you haven't, right? And that's why it's so fast, because your kids are playing it. 19 days. There's only one person who's reached 50 million users faster than 19 days. Any guesses? Sorry? Cristiano Ronaldo. How many days? 6 days, or 4 days, sorry, 4 to 6 days. Imagine one individual versus a Pokemon, an Angry Bird, a Twitter, has 50 million users within 6 days of him coming onto YouTube. And that's pace of change. And when we talk about change, are we ready to accept that? Are we ready to understand what the expectation of a customer may be? What is the expectation of an enterprise, of an organization? And that's probably our second challenge when we manage change. So A, the pace of change, and 2, the iceberg impact. If you understand both, you probably would look at change in a very different light going forward. You would not be taken by what you hear someone saying, how they react, how they respond. You'll have to go down to understand what is being hidden under the surface. And if you can learn that, if you can manage that, if you can anticipate that challenge, change would be easier. So that's some of the interesting stuff. Some examples. I'm sure if you're my age, you would know a Kodak, you'd know a BlackBerry. You may even have had a Yahoo account at one time. So any of you know the reason why Kodak failed? It was synonymous with us growing up, some of us growing up in the 80s and the 90s. Sorry, of course, absolutely, spot on. Their inability to change. So Kodak was a leading player in the market. Their valuation was about $30 billion in the 90s. And the reason they failed is because they didn't want to go the digital route. They were happy with films. Their main business was films. Camera was just a secondary option. It used films and chemicals and paper, and that was their biggest business. And you would laugh that they were the first company to come out with a digital camera. But they got a digital camera with a film. And the engineer who invented the digital camera, the management said to him, looks very cute, but keep it quiet. And hence 30 billion went into bankruptcy. BlackBerry. Have some of you used BlackBerry? Okay, there's a really nice documentary on Netflix on BlackBerry. Have any of you watched that? Okay, you have. Perfect. So again, $80 billion valuation and bankrupt. And why? Because they loved their design so much and that scroller on the side that they decided not to go with the touchscreen that Apple came up with. So $80 billion worth of valuation goes up in one fine day. So that's BlackBerry for you. Yahoo, of course, is another example. I don't know if some of you read about it, but a few years back, I'm not sure whether Meta or Google wanted to buy Yahoo, probably 10 years back. And they were wanting to buy it for, let's say, $7-8 billion. The deal didn't come through because Yahoo said this is undervalued. So after 6 months, the new valuation was $3 billion. So that's the challenge that some of these organizations face because they did not anticipate change. There are also examples of companies which have done really well. So Coke, of course, they say that Coke can be used as a toilet cleaner. I'm sure some of you heard that, but we still love it, right? Coke's made a shift to healthy drinks. And today their portfolio, 45% of their portfolio is healthy drinks. Low sugar, no sugar, juices, etc. That's the paradigm shift that they've done to manage change. The change in consumer preferences, people being more understanding of what is healthy, what is not. Coca-Cola is a perfect example. Microsoft moved completely into cloud business. They moved away from the traditional IT setup to focusing under Satya Nadella on the cloud computing side. And then, of course, there's the likes of IKEA. I'm not sure if you know about IKEA. It's a Swedish furniture company, and they were offline. But they saw the trend, and they converted offline and online model, and they were the first company which did flat pack packing. So basically, if you look back 10, 15 years back, if you wanted to buy furniture, you'll get a full bed, a full sofa, a full dining table, right? And then you suddenly started seeing all of these things coming in multiple parts, and they'll be screwed together. So you have the likes of Pepperfry, Urban Ladder, Home Center, all of them are doing that now, but IKEA was the first company which moved away from their high cost of transferring furniture to the flat pack style, and having an online model along with offline as well. And those are some of the reasons why some of these guys are not on the previous slide, okay? Again, very simple. I don't need to tell you. You all can understand why change is important in an organization. If you don't move, you stagnate, you become stale, and you disappear. You have no relevance. So whether it is customer needs, we all are customers, and I'm sure all of us use Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart. Anyone who doesn't use them? And I can guarantee you, earlier, we used to plan for having groceries in the house. Now we don't, right? We say we're gonna Blinkit, or we'll Zepto it. And I can tell you from a personal experience, when it says 15 minutes to delivery, I get frustrated, saying they're supposed to take under 10 minutes. Why are they taking 15? So that's how the consumer is changing today. The customer expectations are changing. They're probably bordering on unrealistic. But that's the bottom line. So customer needs, ever-changing world of technology, global economy, growth opportunities, most importantly, challenging the status quo, and then developing a culture of innovation. So those are the bits, and that's what I had today. But what I do want to do is play a video for you. It is a combination of mythical, so don't take the video very statistically. It is for you to have the feeling, the passion of that video. So see it from that perspective. Any of you seen the Eagle video of change? Anyone seen the Eagle video? Okay, I'm very happy there are only a few of you. If there were any more hands, I'd be very disappointed. So I'm going to request you to play the Eagle video for everyone. You can put down the lights and play the video, please. Enjoy. always find this video very passionate, very inspiring, and of course, for the eagle, it's to live. For us, change is not about living, but making sure we can change with times, grow, and manage what our life is all about. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience and for your interest. Thank you.